Waiting for YouTube to load up. Millionaire Talk Show. My name is Charles Oglesby, also known as Todd, Millionaire, with my new co-host, Michelle Welch. Welcome all. Thank you guys for tuning in. For the past 5 years, we've been doing this thing, and we're taking it to a whole new level, bringing some new energy. Somebody who you guys definitely know and you've seen around social media. And it's cool because now that she's coming on the podcast, you're going to be able to learn so much more about her. You're going to be able to ask her questions. You're going to be able to just see her business style and her personal style, because she's a super focused, super driven, super detail-oriented person, and just somebody that we should all be looking up to and modeling ourselves after, because she takes just things to another level. She doesn't just accept it as it is. It's like, bro, how can we do this better? So, I mean, you guys are in for a treat, because whatever you guys have been getting out of the show, whatever you've been experiencing so far, we're going to take it to another level. So welcome, Michelle.
Well, with that type of introduction, I don't even know what to say now. Thank you. But yeah, it's all about 10Xing. We're taking things to the next level. We're focusing. I think that's the word of the year now. I was in the mastermind last weekend for some reason, and I felt compelled to just talk about focusing. You know, let's focus on what's going on. But it's definitely a pleasure to be here. I've been building with Todd now for 2 years. We met in Twitter days back when the pandemic first started. So it's been a lot of growth. It's really awesome. And I'm so excited to get started, and let's shake things up.
Yeah. Interestingly enough, the guest that we're supposed to have on the show, Dominique Broadway, who's rescheduled, we're going to get her on here. She has a really cool story. I wish you guys would have got a chance to hear it. You will eventually get to hear it. But her story, she started out building her business, and she actually went broke. And then leading into the pandemic, she created a course. She launched that course, and she made like $60,000 in like the first month. Actually, no, not in the first month. She made $60,000 in the launch. And I want to say she made like 850 in the first month. Altogether, she's made $8.5 million off of a course. And everything that she did up until the pandemic was just like kind of just getting her by. She actually had gone broke trying to do it the traditional way. The pandemic was really a game changer for her, but also for you.
I mean, yeah. So the power to the digital courses, and power to Dominique for being a mom of 2 under 2. I peeped that. And that's just, you know how I feel about my moms. But during the pandemic, it was definitely a time to capitalize off of the knowledge base that we have. You know, I'm very big on monetizing your genius. So during the pandemic, I also created my first course, Time Management Mastery. And back in the day, I call it back in the day, you know, I had just met you, I met Rafaela, I met Ellie Talks Money before, you know, everyone was big. And I gifted this course to so many people. And I ran into Ellie at the mastermind in Miami. And she told me that the course that I created assisted her in making her first 3 million. It's a time management mastery. She took the course. Not only did it help her with her time management, but it allowed her to also see like not how simple it is to make courses, but how essential it is now in this day and age. Like, digital products are everything. People are not wanting to spend money in college. They're wanting to do real world experiences with real people. So I'm talking digital products take you to the next level. And I mean, you can attest to that. I mean, I remember when you hit your first mil on Twitter, just doing your digital product. So, you know, monetizing your genius will always be the way to go. You can make money off of any experience that you've been through. And Dominique kind of just showed you how, man. I mean, from broke to making millions.
From broke to making millions. It's interesting because you said you were good before the pandemic. You was like, I'm not a pandemic baller. It's like, I was good before. I was 6 figures before.
Listen,
have things gone back to normal?
No, they have not. However, before the pandemic, I'm going into year number 5 in May, will be for my cleaning business. So I also own a residential and commercial cleaning business. And so a lot of people were like, oh, the pandemic, you made so much money, blah, blah. No, it didn't work that way. Some people did. They were able to really capitalize off of it. But one thing that the pandemic did in the beginning for me was it cut my income completely. So I was going through a lot of transitions, and that's when I really picked up on the cleaning coaching. So now I have repositioned myself to do more commercial, because honestly, that's where the money is. That's the guaranteed money. That's the easy money. And so we're doing actually better. And now I'm learning government contracts, because when I saw bids coming through my email for 1 million, 3 million, and they're looking for minority businesses to give these contracts to, I'm like, listen, Every day I learn something new about the cleaning industry. Every day I see that it's $1 billion industry that we can really tap into. So the money I made from that, prior to the pandemic, it was a lot easier than it is now because there's so many different cleaning companies. There's so many people that don't understand the value behind having a cleaning company. And they don't understand that it's an essential thing for your commercial business, but on the residential side, it's definitely a luxury. So having to try to rebrand yourself when there's so many different cleaning companies and people are like, oh, well, you go into the grocery store, there's tons of bread. And I'm like, yeah, but it'll still go bad. People still don't use it. So it's like, you can be the right package and you can have everything, but you still may be stuck in a space that you can't make money or you're not figuring it out. So what I was able to do during the pandemic was pivot. I was able to go straight into cleaning coaching. So there was a lot of companies that had the money. They just didn't know where to get their leads from, how to run their social media. So what did I do? I stepped up. I am now, I refer to myself as a cleaning industry expert. I have over 50,000 hours. I've made over $500,000 in my cleaning business. I'm credible enough to give you the information that you need to grow and sustain your business. So that's what I did. And now, we have tons of contracts. Right now we have over 11,000 in residual contracts through cleaning offices and stuff like that. I know that if you follow me on Instagram, you'll see that I've been dragging myself to the club every night because we have contracts in downtown Orlando. But with the pandemic came a hard nobody wanting to work. Nobody wants to work in the service-based business. So what happens when you're the boss? You get to, pick up on the work. So I've been, pulling in the work, doing 6 days a week, 2 a.m.s, going to the clubs downtown and cleaning them. And now a lot of people looked at me and were like, well, why didn't you just cancel them? And I'm like, well, you cancel $4,000 of residual income every month and you see how that'll impact you. At the end of the day, like, I'm a boss. I have people that I have to feed. I have employees and stuff. So we make it work. This week is my last week. I hired staff. So, but
it's temporary. It's not like I'm clean. I'm back at the job. It's like, hey, I have to show up for these 4 weeks until I can find somebody who can then take my place. But I don't want to lose the contract. And I know where I stand in this business. And this is just something I have to go through in the meantime.
And it's funny that you say, like, where you stand in the business. Sometimes I think as business owners, we get caught up in the perception of what something's going to look like because we're the boss. I don't want to clean toilets because I'm the boss. I don't want to do this because I'm the boss. And it's like, you're the boss for a reason. Like, this is what you got to do. So anybody that's a business owner and you feel like, I've already done this. I mean, I was not cleaning for 2 years and I had to get back in the field. It's like, sometimes you have to pivot and you have to also understand where you're at in your growth. Sometimes you got to take 2 steps back to get 20 steps ahead, and that's okay. Right.
I commend you for that because when I lost vending machine workers, the vending machines didn't get serviced. I was tired, man. But granted, it wasn't netting the kind of numbers that it should have been netting, and that was the struggle with me with vending, is because it wasn't giving what it was supposed to give. As advertised, it was supposed to be doing crazy numbers, boom, boom, boom. And I got in and it was less than minimum wage. It was it used to be low-key breaking even at certain times. And then the pandemic kind of made it even worse because certain locations got cut and it was just not a fun experience. And so I had to let that go so I can focus on other things. And I think that's important for people who are watching is, man, the course economy and social media has opened up our eyes to so many different ways to make money. And you don't got to do them all. You got to do one. One thing will set you free. Dominate one, go deep in one. And even if you have a bunch of things, it's like multiple streams doesn't have to mean multiple different things. In fact, the worst kind of streams you can have are things that are unrelated. The best streams are the ones that are interrelated, where you have a course, you have a community, you have a mastermind, you have an ebook, you have all these different things. That's a funnel. The funnel is your streams. So if you're going to be in a space, be in that space. And then let's start looking at different ways to start making other money. Maybe you could be servicing other people's vending machines. Maybe you could be, I don't know, all these different things you could do if you go into vending machines. You can have your vending machine course, vending machine coaching, that kind of stuff. Let's build our 7 streams off of one idea. One idea, spread out that idea, and then you'll be way more successful because then as one grows, the other grows, as opposed to when you have separate different businesses. If your Turo's taking off, now your rental properties are struggling, or now your truck is getting neglected, or now your flip is getting overlooked. You got to go deep in one. And when you go deep in one, that's where the big money is.
Definitely. I mean, for an example, I'm deep in the cleaning industry. I love everything else that I do, but I dominate the cleaning industry. So I have my cleaning business, I have cleaning coaching, and now come May 2022 with our 5-year anniversary, I'm opening up a janitorial supply store. So now I'm able to provide everybody with what they need. My clients, they get their first set of starter equipment for free. Like I can now even offer my clients product. So I was thinking, you know, I wanted to open up one more product-based business under myself. And that was the thing to do. So I was like, how can I keep everything intertwined? Janitorial store. So now I did the research. I did everything I'm going to do. We're going to launch in May, and I'm going to launch it virtually and use all of the money from the virtual launch and everyone making their orders to open my brick and mortar. I'm not going to come out of pocket.
It's a virtual janitorial store.
Yep.
That is dope.
Because it's just like, what do I need in this moment right now? Why do I need to spend money on a brick and mortar? Why? Why do I want to take money out of my pocket? So
how does that work though? How does that work? Let's talk about that. How do you do a virtual janitorial store?
So basically a virtual janitorial store, the layman's term is we can open up a Shopify store. We get our vendor, we get our white label cleaning supplies, and then we launch and we see what works. We see what sticks, run Facebook ads, you know, get the word out there. At the end of the day, like, I'm known in the industry for doing this. So once I post about it and I really get it out there, the support is already there. And not only that, I have over 22 cleaning companies that I've grown, I've worked with already. So at this point, it's just like, why not? Why not do
the products in the store?
We supply. My company is called
product. What's the product is called We Supply? What's the product called?
So the product name is We Supply, but we're going to be selling basically like pine saws, commercial cleaning agents, things for like grills. So anything that you're basically going to need, we're going to be providing vacuums, carts, everything you need as far as like janitorial. That's what we're providing you. And obviously it's going to take a second to build up to those places where we get bigger items and things like that. But that is the goal.
Okay. Another reason why you want to have multiple streams within the same line of business is one line of business serves as advertising for the other line of business. And so you don't have to advertise all these different products, because just by you showing up, talking about you being the queen of clean and talking about your coaching and talking about your cleaning business, and then you're going to lead into your janitorial. So they all work together.
Exactly.
Multiple streams, not multiple things. Get out of multiple things.
Right there.
You'd be stressed out. I'm telling you, you'd be stressed out. Hold on, before we go too deep into your business.
Oh, yeah.
I want to talk about the podcast.
Yes.
Have you ever, you've hosted your own podcast before?
Yeah, I have like 2 of them right now.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. What inspired you to be on the Millionaire Talk Show?
Listen, Charles, we go way back. I say way back, but for me, I built a relationship with you off of value, because I saw what the value you brought to the community. I saw, like, honestly, I was like, I've never seen someone that just talks so much shit and just still doesn't care. Like, you are about your bread, you're about your impact, and you don't care. And that's my personality. Like, you know how I operate. Like, I don't care what you have to say. I'm going to make money at the end of the day. I'm going to keep going. I got kids to feed. Like, it's a different motivation. And to see somebody match your energy, and like, another thing is, like, being in business, you run into a lot of bad business relationships. We've never had a bad business, whatever. Like, if there was ever any issue, if there was an issue, it was communicated and we moved on and we were still able to work together. So it's just like, not only that, and then like, you look out for people. You always are offering opportunities. I mean, there was time where my laptop went to hell and I was doing work for you, and you immediately sent me a laptop the next day. Like, it was just certain things that was just like, listen, if you're going to be loyal to someone, be loyal to someone that got your back. And it's not just in the aspect of what you gave, but the opportunity. You always thought about me in a different way. So when you tweeted, I need a host for the Millionaire podcast, I was like, if not me, then who? Like, what? So, and I just think we work really well together as far as like the ideas, engaging, like, it's just a great duo. So I was just like, I don't mind putting my stuff aside to build a bigger platform, because I know what your ultimate goal is. And I just think that's really dope. Like, we're making history. So it's like, do you want, and you tweet about this all the time. You don't always have to be like the head Indian. You don't always have to be the person in charge. You can grow with someone that could put you in front of more people than you trying to grow by yourself. So that in itself was like,
that's a bar.
It was easy.
What kind of things do you want to bring to the podcast?
So Number one, I definitely want to bring just more education on the foundation of building your entrepreneurial mindset. Like, a lot of people tend to forget that your habits, routines, things that you set yourself up with is what either brings us forward or propels us backwards. And not only that, like, you have your network, but I have my network. And I have, I know a lot of people that are entrepreneurs, business owners, wealth builders. And it's like, we're tapping into your corporate side, your people that are like big people. And then we have these entrepreneurs that are doing amazing things, but because they don't have the big following, because they don't have that huge audience, their story isn't heard. And I just think it's really dope to be able to show, like, prime example, I want Chef Flex to be interviewed. He's a 25-year-old chef in Orlando that now is at his own venue, cooking, the first Black chef to take over an actual venue in downtown Orlando. I mean, he's cooked for artists, he's done so much. And I believed in him so much. I met him on Twitter during the pandemic too. So there's so many like little gems of people that have different pockets of knowledge that we're going to be able to share on the podcast. And also, bringing to the forefront of other things that are going on in the world. You brought it up before we got on this live that like, it would be dope to touch on different topics, that are socially relevant. And not everybody wants to see interviews, but people could love to see, two business-minded people really busting down and breaking down things for what they are and, giving a different perspective.
Yeah. One of the other reasons why I like you as a co-host is you're not just one niche, you're an entrepreneur, you're business. And that's one of the ways we want to take this show is we want to talk about like all those people who are in business for themselves. And it might be something that is unique that nobody's ever seen. And so we actually have some really cool guests lined up. We have somebody who started their own cigar company. We have somebody who started their own CBD company. We have somebody who started their own pH water company. And so we're getting really cool guests. It's not just real estate. For so long, this podcast was just a real estate show. And I think it's bigger than real estate. And I think that we need more people than just real estate investors. We can't all overpopulate a particular thing. It's like you were saying earlier, a lot of people, they say there's nothing wrong with competition, but competition does suck. And if we want to have a thriving community, not just a bunch of hustlers, we need to have a community, which is a bunch of people communing together. Like this person does this person does this person does that. So that's one thing that we're aiming to do. So speaking of current events, the Will Smith event took place and a lot of people are talking about it. And quite honestly, in my opinion, I don't get too caught up on it. So I didn't write no think pieces. I did leverage it to be culturally relevant for the brand. And so one of the things that I did is I created my meme. And my meme was like, people that say you're supposed to be for the culture, but your products aren't for free. And I was like, Will Smith to that, because I don't got to do free. In fact, I serve you better by not being free. I'm not dumb expensive, but I'm not free. And so I think one of the things that's important is for your business to leverage social things like that. But you can't get caught up in writing think pieces and trying to determine who's right and who's wrong and debating other people's life. And I don't know too many people who are driven, who are entrepreneurs, who are out here trying to like argue somebody down over Will Smith, because that ain't changing your life. That's not improving your circumstance. That's not putting money in your bank account. It's not putting your kids through school. So I'm just curious with that preface, what was your take?
So I agree with everything you say. Like, obviously I don't sit and talk, like linger, but since everybody in the world decided to drag this on until Thursday, which is where we're at now, and people are still talking about it, I think Will Smith was right and he was wrong. Obviously I don't condone violence. I don't ever think you should put your hands on somebody, especially on live television, especially, like at the Oscar. I mean, you just think about all, like, that was just like a hit for the community, it seemed like, because it's just that secondhand embarrassment. Like, bro, like, you really had to do all of that. Like, I get it, and the reason why I say he was right, I mean, the slap was not right. I don't condone that, but like, his wife was affected. He felt some type of deep connection to his wife being hurt, and obviously it should have been handled differently. But I mean, if he slapped the shit out of him, I'm like, yeah, like that's what he chose to do in that moment. I don't think he should have, but I don't judge him for it, if that makes sense, because we don't know what people's circumstances are in the home. We don't know what Jada and Will are going through. And I think sometimes what happens is people are like, that's Jada and Will Smith. And it's like, no, that's a human and a human. We just know them on a different level, but we don't know them the way we think we do. And that's where all these think pieces about celebrities is weird to me, because it's like, y'all don't know these people. You know what they show you on the internet. And it's the same for you, the same for me. Like, nobody really truly knows like what we go through until we talk about our experiences, which is like, they have that red table talk and they break things down. But you don't know, Will Smith might have just been tired that y'all are making fun of him cry all the time. And he became a meme and now he's a meme again. But it's just, we don't know people's circumstances. So I try not to judge, because listen, we all have our problems, but I just never condone violence. So I don't ever think it's okay for you to put your hands on somebody. But I also don't think it's okay for people to use others as a joke. So, I mean, from that point of view, whatever, but he's not right. Chris Rock wasn't right. None of the situation is right. But I also kind of think it was like a publicity stunt.
Yeah, me too.
I definitely, because for some reason, I just don't see Will Smith standing up and slapping the shit out of somebody like that. Not for what was said. You know what I'm saying? Like, I just don't see that. And I didn't personally, which once again, taking in consideration, I don't know how alopecia feels or whatever the case may be. But I just don't think that was warranted. I think it was more of a publicity stunt, because I don't know if you saw the meme going around that now Chris Rock's comedy series went up like 10x.
Yeah, they had to add a second show in Detroit. They had to add a second show in Detroit.
What are we doing here? You saw that they were saying that he was going to the Academy code of conduct, because they asked him to leave the Oscars and he wouldn't.
Oh, yeah, I heard about that.
Thinking about reconsidering his award, but it's like,
yeah.
So, I mean, you risk a lot when you want to act out in that manner. And it just, one thing it did teach me as a business owner is that like people will do kind of anything to get a rise out of you. And it really, like, your level of emotional intelligence, your level of self-control and self-discipline will really determine, like, are you ready for that level? Are you ready to be where you're at? And I just think, once again, like, Will Smith is such a smart person. From what he shows us on social media, he doesn't seem like the type to be like, let me get up during the Oscars and go slap the shit out of somebody. Like, that just doesn't seem natural. So I thought it was a publicity stunt, but
yeah, what I'm noticing is that people who are entrepreneurial and who are building businesses and who are into marketing and advertising and creating hype and buzz, a lot of those people were like, nah, this is fake. So I've seen Ash Cash say it was fake. I've seen Aristotle Investments say it was fake. I think I kind of just came out and said, I'm pretty sure it's fake. It looks like it's staged. And I think that's one of the reasons why it's like, you can't get too caught up in like debating something that might not even be real, probably isn't even real, because that's kind of what they want you to do. That's what they expect from the average consumer. And you can't build wealth and think like the average consumer, because you're going to be caught up in whatever they want to sweep you up into. You have to apply some level of critical thinking. However, I do think it is interesting because the Oscars, they did battle with that, like the Oscar so white thing and all of that. And it's interesting because you get in a situation where it's like, oh, well, it's like, how like sometimes people feel like they can justify racism because, we justify it because y'all be wilding. And then we be wilding. And so it's but
wilding in the worst, like at the Oscars.
Right.
Like, you just had to do that there. Like, there was no other alternative. And so that's why I'm like, ratings went up. Everyone was talking about nobody even would have known that the Oscars was happening if Will Smith didn't slap him. So it's just, it makes you think. And that's why, like, anytime that it comes like with the celebrities, I always think that they're doing it for exposure. They're doing it for the next thing, because
even the Kim and Kanye stuff.
You know what I'm saying? It's just like everything has a price tag on it, even, the exposure. So it's just, because when you think about it, as Chris Rock, everyone was like, his demeanor, he held himself together. But realistically, my dad's Black. If someone was to walk up to my father and slap him, he don't give a damn who, where. You are not about to slap me. Yeah. So that's where it just makes you think, like, sir, you're more like, are you compromising your morals for real? So it's just, we could go into think pieces all day about other people's lives, but ultimately it's like, what did you do today to make yourself better?
What did you do today to make yourself better? It's interesting because I saw somebody say that, like, whenever Kanye has one of those like moments where he starts spazzing out and starts doing all these different things and getting in the headlines, what comes behind that? An album. And so it's like, it's interesting because you see that a lot. It's free advertising. It's honestly what Donald Trump built his whole campaign on, was getting free advertising by saying shocking things. So as entrepreneurs and as intelligent people, as intelligent consumers, because I think you have to be an intelligent consumer to create wealth. I keep saying that, but it's like, you can't just be chasing everything and giving everything your attention if you desire to grow, because there's other things that need your attention. They're going to take you in your personal life where you desire it to be. And honestly, like that's where you have to be. I mean, a lot of us who are trying to get to a certain point, we work 7 days a week, long days. It's very difficult to be caught up in what's new and hot on TV and what happened to this celebrity and that celebrity when you work 7 days a week. And a lot of us who are in business, even though we stopped working 7 days a week, we be thinking 7 days a week. And so if I'm not on the clock typing up something, I'm always thinking about stuff all the time. And my mind is really my job now. And so I never get a break from that.
And so I'm a big person of like rest is a requirement, not a reward, because for so long I ran in the operation space of like burnout of I have to do everything. I have to be everything. And I learned, you know, through the process, like you're saying, like it's cool to want to have 7 streams of income. But one thing that I even teach my coaching clients on now is like, is that necessary? I always ask people, like when I ask them their goals and I ask them what they want and they're like, oh, I want $10,000 days and I want $100,000 months. And I'm like, but is that necessary? You know what I'm saying? Like, do you even have the drive or determination to get to that point? And number one, do you even have the discipline? So let's start off with something that's more necessary. Let's start off with making your bills to cover your bills for the month. Let's move in that direction, because a lot of times people see what's on social media and they'll be like, well, I need that Range Rover and I need this and I need that. And I was watching, shout out to Carla Wilmera. She's in the podcasting space. I would love to get her on, but she just launched B. Simone's podcast. And yeah, and it's a huge thing. And she's actually here in Orlando. She's a friend of mine. And she posted about it. And this morning I posted it and tagged her in it to tell her like, congratulations. And B. Simone on the snippet was talking about like, she was like, I was going to go buy a $300,000 car. And when I thought about it, she's like, I'm never home. It's going to sit in the garage. It's going to depreciate as soon as I drive off the lot. I got caught up in social media in that moment. She's like, in that moment, I had to realize that I only wanted the car because the first thing that we're conditioned to do when we get some money is to go buy crazy expensive things. She's like, I wouldn't be able to drive it because I'm never home. I wouldn't be able to. And when she broke all that down, it made me like, it kind of confirmed how I've been feeling. Like as entrepreneurs, we put this weight on ourselves. I have to do 7 streams. I have to make 6 figures. And it's like, but most of the time you don't even need to do all that. You just need to live comfortably. And right. I think we need to kind of look at as a whole and a collective, what does success mean to us? Like, what does that mean? And until you really internalize it and not look at the materialistic things, I think a lot of these our entrepreneurs in our community are working backwards. You know, the biggest thing I hate, this is probably going to be like a topic that we're probably going to, I hate people that utilize business credit for everything. Like, you don't even have a real business. You have a concept of a business. You're not even operating in the space of an actual, you're not even making profits. And you're out here talking about business credit and you're talking about why it works for you and all of these things, but it's just like, no.
Yeah.
No.
The scary thing about business credit is it's a 30-day term. So it ain't no 12-year term loan. It's not a 5-year maturity loan. It's like they give you that money and they immediately want payment. And let's say you might have made that payment late in the cycle. They immediately want payment. So it's like, you don't even really have a full however many days. And so business credit is really, really, it needs to be used intelligently. It needs to be used on something that's going to give you a return or going to ultimately give you that cash back. I use business credit to put a furnace inside of a flip. I think that was pretty intelligent because when I sell the house, I pay off the credit card. Yeah, business credit should not be used to go to crustaceans. It should not be used to go to a high-end restaurant and you're like, this is a business lunch. Like,
it's not
no business profit. That business credit and write-offs are killing the business community. We're going business credit and write off our way into bankruptcy.
They got us in a chokehold right now, Charles.
One of the things I was going to say is that going back to what you were talking about in terms of the 7 streams of income is one of the best pieces of advice that Andre gave to me is he said that don't really aim for like that crazy $1 million, $2 million number. Aim for a safe, recurring $10,000. And when I started thinking about recurring income instead of massive income, my whole mindset shifted. And then I started creating things that create recurring income. Then I created the mastermind. Then I created, I already had the options community. I might have done some different things to get some dividends coming in. And I created that safe 10. So I never have to worry about anything. And I know I always got 10 grand coming in, bare minimum. So it's kind of cool to see that come into play. I had another thing I was going to say. Oh, I was also going to say this, and then we're going to head because we got another show in like 10 minutes. I also was going to say is that the interesting thing about all the things you see on social media is most people don't even notice them. And so you stress yourself out trying to get a Rolex. You stress yourself out trying to get these Gucci shoes, these Fendi shoes. Most people don't even notice it. And if they do notice it, they don't say nothing about it. And so you out here breaking your back to get a $20,000 watch. And folks be standing right next to you and have no idea. Folks be standing next to you in your expensive shirt and they'll have no idea. And so like none of that really matters. And I'm like, I got on some Target pants right now. I'm like, I'm gonna start getting my stuff like on the low. Like I don't even care no more. Like that doesn't matter. The car thing doesn't matter. And what really matters, I think, is just like the security, freedom and security. It's knowing that you can do whatever you want for as long as you want to, and nobody can disturb that. That's what matters. So I think that this is a good introduction episode. We actually have our next live episode, and it was a good conversation. We got a chance to talk about the Will Smith slap. We got a chance to talk about the cool things that she's doing in business, how it's not smart to have all these multiple streams of income, but instead have one thing that you can expand into multiple strings, and talked about some of the cool guests. And so I'm really excited because we're going to be bringing some really cool guests onto the show, not just your ordinary, obvious people. My VA is getting people who aren't even on social media. So that is really cool.
I love that. Yeah.
So we're going to take it to the next level. Any final words?
No, I'm so grateful to be here. I'm so excited for the value. We're all about the value. And I just think that's really dope. But before we sign off, and I'll make this really quick, I just got to shout out to my baby Trey, my son, my 4-year-old, who will be 5 on Monday. He is just got booked for a baby clothing brand that's growing.
That's dope.
And he will be making his Times Square debut on April 13th in New York. He will be on one of the billboards. And so I just want to say that when you are a dope person in real life and on the internet and you really put yourself out there, you open up opportunities for your kids, because if I wasn't me, he would have never got that opportunity. So cheers to just operating in greatness and being a dope mom. I just have to say that.
That's the biggest bar, man. It's like your dopeness creates opportunities for your kids.
Listen,
I love it.
I'm hoping we get to fly out. The tickets are just like in a chokehold right now. They're like $600 a piece.
Man, so it's not cheap to go to anywhere right now on a plane.
Gosh, no. So I'm like, if we hit our sales goal for this week, baby, we'll be going and you'll be able to see yourself on a big billboard. But it's just the fact that like when you operate in excellence, it literally creates for your bloodline. Like my son has opportunities now lined up because now people are like, oh, he models. I'm like, yes, let's momager. I'm ready. So I just think that's really dope.
That's everything I stand for right there. I'm big on the kids, and I'm also big on us being great for the kids. Exactly. Instead of, I know a lot of people were just like pushed out and said, figure it out, Negro.
No.
So it's kind of hard out there to figure out on your own. It's a big world. But that's really cool. Make sure you guys click the link in the bio and pick up some of her stuff so that she can get her family to go see that really cool thing.
Listen, but yeah, that's dope. Awesome. I'm so happy we're here, but we do have to get ready for our next interview.
All right, y'all. See you guys in like 10.